one other strength of American Bashkir InterCollege here in Ufa as an educational institution and Ufa ELTA is the continued and systemic presence of native speaker instructors from the English-speaking countries, UK, USA, Canada, Australia, etc. That is countries where English is a native language, ENL, as Professor Broderick Kachero put it in his writings. Also, with support from English Language Office, the InterCollege has launched this year English language conversation sessions with senior university students from the United States of America. And this project works online and is very helpful in developing authentic speaking competencies in our learners. Clearly, conversation classes and English language club sessions with native speakers teachers help develop authentic competencies in our students and in teachers as well. This year, we're having 2 native speaker instructors in the staff of American Bashkir InterCollege who work with their students and teachers both actually and virtually. So today, in the virtual format, one of our colleagues, Elizabeth Hughes, will be presenting her interesting workshop, keeping students engaged in the EFL Classroom. Elizabeth Hughes is our senior instructor in modern English studies and English cross-cultural communications at American Bashkir InterCollege, CELTA Fellow.
So again, it is good to be here with you all. It's exciting to be able to meet this way at this time. All right, so keeping those students engaged. What can we do? What do we do? This is specifically for maybe a little bit younger or school-age children, but also adults as well. So we can think of it for them also. All right, I am having a little trouble. All right, we want our students to look like this. They're engaged, they're interested, they're even excited, like, yay, we're learning, you know, they're jumping up and down, they're raising their hands. They want to answer the question. They want to do it. They want to learn. This is what we want to see. So how do we get there? How do we get there? Let's talk about encouraging our students, okay? How can we encourage a student? First of all, I do everything in my classroom to get my students speaking, all right? Get them talking. It can be about anything. And then afterwards, talk about their grammar use and that. But anything for practicing speaking so that they can get the flow, so their fluency can improve. So how do we encourage our students to even try, to even make an attempt? Take this for instance, a student who makes an attempt at writing some sentences. This isn't speaking, this is writing, just doing the work. They make an attempt, they try, but they choose the wrong preposition in their sentences. They use at instead of in, okay? Or on instead of at for some simple prepositions. And this student writes these sentences and they show it to us, the teacher. All right? We want to say, I am very happy that you wrote these sentences, right? Good job for trying. Good job. Now, what about these words you used? Right here, you use the preposition at. Is there maybe a better preposition to use? And to kind of talk them through it like that. giving them praise, giving them encouragement for helping them to improve it, okay? So not making them feel bad for their mistakes, but encourage them to keep trying. Okay, what about a student who's very quiet? They just do not want to talk at all, mostly because they are afraid to say something wrong. They are afraid to make a mistake in their language. They're afraid to use that wrong preposition. They're afraid to say something that maybe does not even make sense. So they're afraid to try. They won't talk. Well, for me, I encourage my students. I try to just let them know it's okay to make mistakes. I'm going to help you through that, okay? We're going to work together on this. It's okay. It's important thing is that you try, and as you try, you will improve. So don't worry. And then I give them a story about my experience. You know, I am here, I'm learning Russian, and I make a lot of mistakes when I speak Russian. So I talk to them about this, I share them this, and I even give it an example. I'm like, look, I could say this. And they kind of laugh at me, you know, like, yeah, you didn't say that so good. I'm like, okay, see? But then, of course, I try to improve it. I try to correct it. And these are some ways that I try to encourage those quiet students just to even talk, just to try. So, inner lessons, making things more personal, okay? Rather than saying, he has lived in America, if you're using certain tense, okay? Present perfect. He has lived in America for 20 years. Who is he? How is this important to me? But if you make it into a question about them, how long have you lived in UFA? And they could answer, I have lived in UFA all my life. Okay, so make it personal. All right, you can say Donald Trump will be president of the USA for 3 more years. This has been, I did this like several years ago. So now he may be president for 4 more years. We don't know. Anyway, he will be president for 3 more years. So what? The rest, my students, especially the young ones, this is not relevant to them. This is not relevant. But what about asking a student, how many more years will you be in school? I will be in school for 3 more years. Okay, make it personal. She had been in the car for 5 hours when she stopped to eat. So what? Boring even. But how long have you been doing your homework? Had you been doing your homework when you stopped to phone a friend? This makes it more personal. That's what you want to do. Make it relevant. Make it personal to them. All right, ask questions. Ask questions. Get their feedback. Get their answers. And also, when you ask a question, when you want something to be answered, I also have learned that if I just stand in front of the classroom and I ask a question, okay, who can answer this? Or just ask a question. A lot of times, I do not get a volunteer. I do not get anybody. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. But a lot of times, I don't get anybody who wants to answer. So I have found that going and asking a specific student, okay, Lilia, how many years have you lived in UFA? Get personal, ask them questions, and then get more about that. Ask for further details. Like, I love to ask my students what they did during the week. I may have a student say, oh, I went walking with a friend. Great, great. Where did you go walking at? Where did you go walking? And get further discussion, further dialogue by asking those follow-up questions. I like to keep the segments of the lesson short. Keep things going at a fast pace, okay? I may have, 10 minutes on a worksheet, and then the next 10 minutes have them stand up and do an activity. And then another 10 minutes in group or pair work. But keep things going at a fast pace. Keep the segments short, so that helps them to stay interested. This is a fast-paced world. We, even as adults, we have these short attention spans. So this is what they like. And it really does help to keep things going. A student will know, okay, I don't like doing this worksheet, but I know there'll be something different after this. All right. I like to use pair and group work. I may have some discussion questions, or have them work on a worksheet together, or have them write a dialogue together that they're going to perform, like a skit, in pairs or in small groups. And then, so I have them working, especially if it's discussion questions. This gives more people a chance to talk and use their English, use their language at the same time. Now, so I go around when they're doing this. I walk around and I monitor them, make sure that they are speaking English, and see if they need any help. If they're stuck anywhere, I may give them a push, some help. But walking around monitoring them, because it's very easy to slip back into your native language. So I like to use pair and group work. It gets them more language practice. I love to have discussions. A big discussion that I like to have are hobbies or free time activities. What do you like to do? I'll ask them. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do in your free time? Why are hobbies important? And I will get them to answer these questions. We'll do that. Make the general learning goals specific to their interest. At the beginning of the year, in class, talk to each of my students. I find out about what they do in their free time. I ask them, this is a part of our introduction, a part of our getting to know each other. So I have a lot of guys, that like football or music or dancing and many other things. And so I will even do my lessons. It can be speaking practice, writing practice, reading practice, grammar, specific to these interests. I can have a lesson about music. I can have a lesson about football and sports. So I try to make it about topics that the students enjoy. I even ask my students at the beginning of the year, I say, okay, this year, what would you like to talk about? And I get some ideas from them. And of course, a big one for the young guys and teenage guys is playing computer games. So we can even make up some lessons, some things about for English using computer games. So they love it. and just different things, even play a computer game. In there's different English computer games in that you can find, that you can play in the classroom. All right, I like to do also, like I mentioned before, dialogues, skits. I will have them get into small groups or pairs and write a dialogue or a skit. And it can be, these are two things. In a restaurant, if we're talking, if that's our theme, in a restaurant, ordering food, or if it's buying something at a shop, a clothes shop or something, many different venues for skits and dialogues. And at the beginning, I write on the board, depending on their age and what level they're at, I will elicit, I will have them help me with some things that might be said in these dialogues. And I may write and write it up on the board so that they have an idea, of course, of what to use in their dialogue, okay? For restaurants, I may say, okay, what would a customer ask? What would a customer say in a restaurant? Can I have a menu, please? I would like to order, I would like, you know, some borscht or whatever they want to order. Can I have the check, please? I'm ready to go. Okay. Now, what would the waiter or waitress say? Here is your menu. What would you like to order? Here is your food. Will that be card or cash? Thank you very much. So I elicit these questions and these statements. Again, depending on their level as to how much I elicit. And then I have them write a dialogue or skit. All right, another thing to talk about is giving them problems to solve. Something, again, interesting for them to talk about in their pair work. For example, meeting with friends versus doing homework. I'll give them a problem. Like, okay, you have a lot of homework to do, or you have an exam that you must prepare for. But then a friend calls you and says, hey, let's go walking. Let's go to the cafe. Oh no, what do you do? And then I have them discuss it in their small groups. Again, while I have. These are just some speaking practices and things that interest them to keep them engaged. All right, here's a few other things. Know when to correct errors. All right. When a student is speaking, either reading something that they wrote or answering a question, and I hear some mistakes, when do I correct them? Do I interrupt their speaking and correct them right then? My answer is no. I let them speak because I want that flow going. I want them to have that practice of speaking. And then later, I will correct some mistakes. Maybe I'm making a few notes of what mistakes that they're making. And then later, then we will talk about those mistakes. One thing I do is if I hear a mistake, a sentence, again, maybe with the wrong preposition in it, okay? I will write the mistake up on the board. For example, I will write, I went at the shop. I will write that up there. And then I will write underneath it, I went to the shop, the correct form. And I will ask the incorrect form, I went at the shop, is what the student said. And then the correct one, I went to the shop, I added. So I write those two down and I ask the students, all of them, which one is correct? Which one is correct? And then they will figure out, I went to the shop. They will answer. Somebody at least will know the correct answer. And I will say, yes, very good. And in that way, correct the mistake. Or talk about the mistakes in some other ways also. But that's just one way that I correct. Speak clearly, okay? I try to speak a little bit slower and very clearly when I'm with my students. I like to use hands-on activities. Get them working with stuff. Young kids, maybe some kind of crafts, making something. Older kids, something interesting for them. But get them doing some activity, something that they are doing, some hands-on. And then, of course, use technology. You know, use the internet. Use games on your phone, Kahoots and other things. Use the slide, the projectors, and that. Use the technology that these students are accustomed to. Overall, of course, we want our students to succeed. We are here to help them succeed, to get better in language. This is our goal. This is what we want. We want to be encouraging. We want to help them. We want them to be happy and excited about learning English. Most of them are there because they do understand it's useful. Some of the young students are there simply because their parents make them to be, kind of have to win them over. But a lot of them understand it's useful, and they have some ideas for traveling and stuff, wanting to use English for that. So we want them to succeed. So that is everything I had. I didn't know if I should open it up for any questions, or thank you all so much.